What's up, guys? Going live with a fitness coach here in a minute. As soon as he joins, we'll get started.
Yo, Chris.
Sam, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Of
I
course.
actually just got back from the gym a little bit ago, so I was like meal prep or eating when I meal prepped real quick, and I saw your post about like when you run out of food that you've meal prepped for the week.
Yeah,
I
totally.
literally thought of that. I was like, I better take my time with this, or I'm gonna run out and end up like Sam in that TikTok you posted.
Yeah, it's a weekly occurrence for me sometimes. I feel like I've got enough food in the fridge, and then boom, Wednesday hits, and I'm starting from scratch again. But hey, that goes to show you how much I'm eating to stay on top of my goals right now.
Yeah, dude, same. Well, we can go ahead and get started. There's not a lot of people on here right now, but I'll repost this to my YouTube channel afterwards. So, kind of tell everybody who's watching this right now, or everybody that's going to be watching this in the future after I repost it, and I'll repost it on my IG as well. Kind of a little bit more about yourself, kind of how you got into fitness, and what makes you different from everybody else.
For sure, yeah. So I have a bit of a unique story because I grew up playing high level hockey. So I became very disciplined with my nutrition and my fitness at a young age. And through that, I intimately became aware of how closely connected my health and my performance and my overall quality of life was attached to my diet and how I was training. And then played junior hockey, played college hockey at Adrian College in Michigan, and
No,
then yeah. And then when I graduated, I joined the workforce and I started working for a Fortune 500 tech company. And I put a pause temporarily on how involved I was with health and fitness. And what was really interesting is I found there I was surrounded by guys who were making good money. They had awesome high paying jobs. They had great social connections. They always had tons to do, but they neglected their health and their fitness on their way to getting there. And I was someone that didn't do that. Fitness and nutrition for me was ingrained into my lifestyle. So I was still, I wasn't running to the food court and eating highly processed food every day. I was making sure I was
right.
still going to the gym. I was working on
Mhm.
my mobility. And that allowed me to just show up with more energy and more confidence in the workplace. And I had so many people, guys specifically, coming up to me asking me, Sam, like, what should I be eating? Sam, what should I be doing for this? What should I be doing for that? Like, how are you able to balance this 45-hour work week and still look so great?
Mhm.
And that's when the light bulb went off for me because I realized there was this starving market of guys who didn't think they could have both. And that's why I created Alpha Body System was to teach men that yes, regardless of if you have kids or if you've got a high stress job, this needs to be a non-negotiable part of your life. And when
Right.
you can make it a non-negotiable part of your life, your performance everywhere will elevate. You'll have more confidence, you'll have more energy, you'll be perceived differently. Your success at work will be better. So that was kind of the inflection point for why I started my business. And yeah, that's who I focus working with. Is I work with busy professional men to help them shed fat, build lean, defined muscle, and feel confident as fuck in all areas of life.
Yeah. So first of all, let me just say I absolutely love that, dude. You definitely hit like a niche market of a lot of people. It is genuinely like a really big audience because I can't tell you how many of my friends don't exercise, and if it ever comes up in conversation, they say something like, "Oh, well, I just don't have time."
Yeah,
But the thing is, like, we don't have time either. It's something that you make time
you
for,
make time.
and yeah, you
Yeah,
make time for
exactly.
it, and then you'd be surprised how it fits into your schedule once you make that time for it. So
Yep.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. As far as that goes, um, how long have you been doing this with Alpha Body? You said it was Alpha Body, right?
Yeah, Alpha Body System. So my company is called State of Alpha. All everything that I provide you can be found on stateofalpha.com, but the specific 16-week program for busy professional men is called Alpha Body System. I
Hmm.
formally started that business in November of 2020, so mid-pandemic. So we've been operating now for almost a year and a half, and it's been phenomenal. It's been really cool to see. What really lights me up is when I work with clients, and I've got a few of them that I'm thinking of right now, where like it seems to them that no matter what they try, they can't figure this out, right?
Yeah.
They do keto. I know you're a fan of intermittent fasting, but it feels like they often go on this carousel of like, oh, I tried keto, oh, I tried intermittent fasting, oh,
Hmm.
I tried this, I tried that. And where I feel like our program really sets the foundation for guys to have long-term success is we don't just give them a meal plan. We're giving them their macros and their calories and all that stuff, but we're teaching
Hmm.
them why this is important. And we have a lot of education that goes into our program so that they can leave the 16-week program and look back on that experience 5, 10 years from now and say, that was a turning point for me. Because I feel like that is often, and I'm sure you experience this too in the social media game. We're surviving off like 3-second hooks to make people watch our reels, and we're
Yeah.
and we're
No
surviving
cap.
off like trying to like hammer like little bullet points in a reel. But
Hmm.
that grabs attention, and it can provide some value, but it often doesn't really build. It doesn't provide the foundational knowledge that needs to be there in order for, like we're saying, this to be a lifestyle change for people.
Right. Well, so many people have, and I was like this when I was younger too. When I first really got into fitness, you want to be a know-it-all, right? You want to be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, well, like I know that this is how you're supposed to do this, and like really, you might be like totally dead wrong because you're like following bro science or whatever the case may be. And that was something that I really had to work on because I was like, oh, I'm this know-it-all, but then like the things that I was doing weren't working. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was basically a slave to my fitness. I was eating out of Tupperware all the time. I hated working out. I didn't like my workouts. I felt like if I skipped one workout, I lost a bunch of gains. And so I was like, well, this isn't really like this can't be right. Like there's no way fitness is meant to be this difficult. So I like re-examined my beliefs, which I think a lot of people are afraid to do now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was your journey into fitness and coaching?
Yeah, so I really got into this kind of like for fun, to be honest. So I was teaching health and phys ed for 6 years.
Okay.
This is my first year out of education, and I loved doing that, and that was so much fun. But I felt like I had more to offer than just talking to kids about health and fitness. I wanted to help people who um, actually were actively searching for help because kids come to school, they go to phys ed class or health class, and they're not like actively like, yes, I came to school today just to go to health class. Like nobody's doing that.
Right.
So um I was always really big into being active when I was younger, like especially when I was a kid. I was always outside playing with my friends, with my cousins. I played sports in high school, and so that kind of led into me with that like know-it-all mindset I was just talking about. So then after that, after high school and college, you don't really play sports anymore, unless you're in like a rec league or something. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, I still want to be really fitness minded. I like the way that I look and feel when, I'm exercising and when I'm in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to, working out, like I said, 7 days a week. I was eating like 4+ meals a day. And these were like not satiating meals. I did not enjoy them. And yeah, I looked good, but like at what cost? I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't skip a workout. If I skipped a workout, like I genuinely felt like I would lose size, like in my shoulders, my chest. And I'm like, well, this is miserable. There's got to be a better way than this. And that's kind of how I stumbled upon intermittent fasting. Um, because, growing up, I was always a really skinny, like scrawny kid, like I said, from being active all the time. So fasting was not something that I was like gung ho about. In no way did I think, oh yeah, well, I'll actually start fasting, and turns out muscle retention will be easier. That was something that took me a while to really wrap my head around.
Mm.
So I practiced this, and at first I didn't like it. Kind of like what you said with some of your clients that'll hop around from like keto to paleo to intermittent fasting. Um, and I almost did that too. Like at first when I was doing IF, I was like, this kind of sucks. Like I get hangry, I get like stomach pains, um, I get headaches even sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I really don't like this at all. And I was like, well, I have this thing where I'm just like not a quitter. I can't quit at stuff. I know when it's time to give up, but I'm not a quitter.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I see other people online that are talking about doing this and are saying this kind of like effects go away after a while. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll give this a chance. And it turns out it was true, because I genuinely believe this is how our bodies were meant to operate, is in a fast
Mm.
state. So then it did go away. And like I said, I started eating satiating meals that I liked. I eat the foods that I love within reason. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to eat donuts every single day. Um, but I only work out 3 times a week, and I gain muscle and lose fat on like a week by week basis. So this was something that like a light bulb went off, and I was like, I just feel like I have to tell people about this, because there's so many like fitness magazines, for example, and just the health and food industries, which make fitness sound so much harder than it needs to be. Like they really push this stuff, like eating out of Tupperware 6 times a day and
Mm.
going to the gym 6 or 7 days a week. And that's all well and good, but I think a lot of this, I'm going to call it rhetoric, is fed to us by like pro bodybuilders, because they're the like, what am I trying to say?
Like the epitome
Yeah,
of
they're
like
like the epitome
fitness
of health.
success.
Like
Yeah,
when you see a
right.
fitness magazine, you're going to see a bodybuilder on the front, whether it's a pro or amateur bodybuilder, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so naturally, the workouts that work for them are going to be super high volume. They're going to have like extremely high caloric intake, and that's because these guys are using gear, you
Yeah.
know? So yes, that stuff works for them if you're juicing, you know? But the average like fitness enthusiast, even if you're not an enthusiast, excuse me, the average person that's just interested in getting in better shape is going to read that and be like, oh, well, Phil Heath does that. So, and he looks like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, you can't do that
Mm-hmm.
if you're not juicy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you
100%.
can, but like, you're going to
It's not
burn
gonna work
out.
out very well.
Yeah. And when you burn out, then you're going to give up, and you're going to go right back into your same old unhealthy habits, because you'll be like, oh, it didn't work. Like, yeah, it
Right.
didn't work because you didn't know what you were doing. And so, I'm not saying that you have to only work out 3 days a week, but that is what works best for me. And that's why I got into fitness in the first place. So, to make a long story very short, I know I kind of went off the rails on your question, but I got into, you know, coaching and writing my book. I'm an author of a book, Fitness Fasters, published that on Amazon a couple months ago. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I did all that because I wanted to show people that it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. And it sounds like
Agreed.
we're kind of on the same page when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what kind of like with your clients? It sounds like you get them. They're all intermittent fasting. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what kind of fasting window do you make them follow?
I typically start off with a 16-hour fast if it's something they've never done before. So one of my buddies, actually, who I coached almost exactly a year ago, his name's Andy, and he lost about 11 pounds in less than 2 weeks. And I started with him very, very slow, because he had no previous like diet experience. So I just told him, hey, listen, push your first meal back like 4 hours, which I think is the easiest way for anyone really to get started into intermittent fasting, is just push your first meal back. Don't think about it as breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just push the first meal back 4 hours. And that's automatically going to put you in that's automatically going to put you in like a, I don't know, 12 or 13-hour fast. So from that point, you can extend it an additional hour each week. And that's kind of what I told him to do, but he thought it was easy at first, so we started extending it per day.
Mm.
So what I did with him is we worked him up to an 18-hour fast by the end of the first week. And he really liked it. You know, some people, it's just natural for them. And he did have a lot of excess body fat. So I feel like his body was prepared to take that excess body fat and use it for fuel. Now, not
Mm-hmm.
everyone with excess body fat is going to be able to do that, but for him, it just worked. You know, some people it just clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, some people can sit down on the bench press first time and do 315. You know, I'm telling you
Right.
right now, I could never do that. Um, but another thing that really worked for him was he was very open to doing longer fasts. And that's what I talk about in my book, is working yourself up to prolonged fasting. Because, you know, there's a lot of people on Instagram and YouTube right now talking about intermittent fasting, but there's not a lot of people talking about prolonged fasting and dry fasting. So I wanted to start him off slow, like I said, so I didn't get into dry fasting, but I told him, hey man, listen, next weekend, like how open would you be to not eating all day?
All weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he was like, yeah, I mean, I'll try it. He said that he was going to be busy. He had to move like with a friend, or maybe he had to move his apartment. And he was like, listen, like this is so easy that I really think that just being busy all day, it'll keep my mind off of eating. And so I'm like, yeah, dude, just don't. Like you'll be amazed at how much extra time you have in the day. Like moving will be so much easier for you because you're not going to have to be thinking like, oh, well, I need to take a break for, you know, X amount of time to go have lunch or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so he did it. And, you know, not everyone can do that first week of starting to fast and it be easy. I mean, just about everybody can do it, but not everybody can do it and it be easy. So that's why I always tell people start slow. It's very easy to get excited and be like, yes, I'm going to hop right into a 42-hour or a 48-hour dry fast.
Mm-hmm.
No water, no food, 48 hours. I got this. And then you're miserable. You hate it and you never do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So how one question I have for you, as I've kind of been going down this rabbit hole more and more, I used to be like, I don't fast at all anymore, but I used to fast all the time.
mm-hmm,
Um, I used to do a weekly 24-hour fast, and very often I would run like a 16-8 protocol.
mm-hmm,
And um, like I was able to stay lean, I was relatively healthy, but I've really had a lot of fun getting into more of like a powerlifting and bodybuilding mindset over the past few years. And
mm-hmm.
you simply, and maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't, but from my experience, there's no way to build muscle in the same way that you otherwise could if you weren't in that window. Simply because you don't have the ability to get, or it's a much harder, let's say, to get the same amount of caloric load required to put you in a significant surplus. Have you ever tried to like measure your lean body mass over a long period of time to see if you're actually able to put on significant amounts of muscle over an extended period of time?
So the reason why I don't focus on that as much is because I do switch it up. And the reason why I switch it up is so that I don't plateau. Like for example, um, during fall and winter, I'll only do like 16 to 19-hour fasts. But in the
Mm.
summertime, I'll do um, I'll do 24-hour fasts almost on a daily basis. This summer hasn't been as much since I've
So
been
you're
working
eating like
more.
OMAD in that case.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
like OMAD. And so my main indicator is if I'm getting stronger on my lifts, especially closed chain movements. So like weighted dips, squats, pull-ups and chin-ups. If I'm getting stronger on those, I don't care. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
I notice that I'm plateauing or I'm getting weaker, then that's when I'm concerned. And that does happen. And typically when that happens, all I have to do is switch up my routine.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll go from weighted pull-ups to weighted chin-ups, or I'll go from dips to tricep pushdowns just for like 6 to 8 weeks, and then I switch back for 6 to 8 weeks. So
Cool.
yeah, that helps me a lot to, like I said, A, not hit a plateau, and B, make sure that I keep like continuing to get stronger on my key.
Mm. That's awesome. And then are you also like, I know a lot of people that do intermittent fasting or super keen on keto, do you try to keep a low carb as well, or do you have higher levels of carb when you eat?
Yeah, so I actually don't really believe in keto. I believe that it can work to help you to lose weight, but I think that it's toxic for your macros.
Mm,
The reason why is because obviously your body uses three key macronutrients for energy, that being carbohydrates, fats, and proteins in that order. If you cut out one of those macronutrients, you're depriving yourself of, I mean, what it is, a macronutrient. So this can mess with your hormones. And so doing keto for a short period of time, you're going to be okay. You know, like it's really not a big deal. And people that do like carnivore diet, like I definitely see the benefits there. But to me, that sounds really unnecessarily difficult if I'm being honest, because like, how are you going to go out with friends? Like, how are you going to go
for
out
sure.
to like on a date with your girlfriend or on a date with just some girl? You have to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I can only order these things because I'm doing this, like, you know, because I'm being really extreme about my diet right now. For me, with intermittent fasting, since this is a lifestyle and I do it every single day, if I want to eat breakfast like once a week or whatever with my girlfriend or my family, like I can do that, you know, and I'm not going to
Hmm.
miss any gains. So keto is fine if you really want to do that, but I would recommend you don't do that forever. If you really have like a lot of weight you want to lose, you can do intermittent fasting with keto, but I would personally recommend doing dry fasting as opposed to doing keto because you'll actually lose weight a lot faster.
Mm, okay. Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. So tell me about your protocols. It sounds like what you do with your clients is super, super not cookie cutter based, which I think a lot of like fitness just stuff in general is, especially just
Yeah.
with workout programs. So what do you have them do? Like, how do you have them start, and what do you do to help them to get to their goals?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing we focus on is nutrition. And our approach is a little different than yours because initially we're not too concerned about meal timing.
Hmm.
For us, we're very focused on caloric intake, macronutrient targets, and food quality, right?
Hmm.
So depending on where they're at and where they want to go, the first thing that we dial in is going to be caloric intake. So we determine what their maintenance calories would be, and then either keep them at maintenance if they are wanting to stay at the same weight and do more of a body recomp. If they need to lose a significant amount of weight, we'll probably put them in a 20 to 25% deficit. And then if they're looking to bulk up, then we put them in a 10 to 15 to 20% surplus. And then depending on the client, we'll give them their protein targets, their carb targets, and their fat targets. What we have found to work exceptionally well with our clients is doing a very high protein intake, and that'll
Yeah.
often be 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. So
Oh,
sometimes I'll
okay.
have
Yeah,
clients
that is a lot.
like, yeah. So I have a few guys now eating around 250 grams of protein per day.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say timeout. So like if I weigh 150 pounds, because I am about like 145, 147 right now, you would want me doing, I'm thinking 80 grams, but it would be way more than 80 grams, right?
Yeah, well, again, it depends on what your goals are. We have found that
Oh,
to work
true, true, true.
exceptionally well for people who need to lose a significant amount of weight. One of the reasons for that too is the thermic effect of feeding, right? So I'm not sure how familiar you are with this, but um, your body obviously needs to spend calories to unlock the calories from food and digest them. And
Mhm.
protein has the highest thermic effect of feeding. So for every and it's a range. It's estimated to be between 20 and 30%. But effectively, that means that for every 100 calories of protein that you're eating, only 80 to 70 calories are actually hitting the bottom line of what's going to your daily totals, right?
Mhm.
So when we have someone in a caloric deficit, that can be really, really helpful because not only are we giving them a ton of the raw building material required to maintain the muscle mass that they currently have while being in a caloric deficit, because as you probably already know, a lot of the weight that's lost in a caloric deficit can be muscle mass too, which is what we're ideally preserving as much of that as possible.
Yeah, I mean it
But
can be, but like I mean if they're exercising, it's probably not as much going to be.
if they're lifting weights, it won't be as much. If
Yeah,
they're just
100%.
doing cardio, they're gonna lose a shit ton of muscle, which
Yeah.
is
Okay,
why
we agree then. Okay, yeah, we're in
yeah,
100% agreement. Okay.
yeah. But that part is key. That's why I'm so passionate about ensuring that, hey, if you are wanting to lose weight, one, you need to be in a caloric deficit, and intermittent fasting can be a part of that, right? But two, you need to be fucking lifting weights, because if you're in a caloric deficit and you're not doing resistance training, the likelihood that you're losing muscle mass in that weight loss process goes up exponentially. And muscle is your best friend as it comes to staying lean, right? That, like, having lots of muscle is a fucking cheat code for
Yeah,
losing
because it
fat.
boosts your metabolic rate.
Exactly. So that often doesn't get talked about enough. And I think a lot of people enter their weight loss journey, and it's helpful to articulate to them that actually you're not on a weight loss journey, you're on a fat loss journey. And we want to
Uh,
make sure that,
that's super insightful, dude. I never
yeah,
hear people say it like that. I love that, actually. I'm gonna
you're
steal
not on
that.
a weight loss journey. You're not on a weight loss journey, you're on a fat loss journey, right?
Yeah.
So even if, like, especially for my body recomp clients, they might get a little frustrated that the scale doesn't go down for 3 weeks, but I'm like, bro, look at your progress photos here. Like, we're not even trying to get you to lose weight. We want you to swap the fat that you have for muscle. And as we're doing that, it becomes easier and easier for you to stay lean. Like, for me, I have quite a bit of muscle mass, and it's so fucking easy for me to stay lean. Like, I can crush food, and I have that metabolic flexibility built
Me
in
too.
because
Dude, isn't
my
it
PM,
nice? You can eat as
it's
much as you want.
yeah,
Like, eat totally extremely filling meals till you're full, like to the point of bursting, almost on a daily basis, and you
yeah,
don't gain fat.
yeah.
That's what I tell people, and they don't get it. But I mean, it sounds like you get it, so that's really cool.
So yeah, having a good amount of muscle mass is key. So that's really from a nutrition perspective. We determine where their calories need to be. We then build out their macros for them, and then we give them all the education they need on what makes healthy food healthy food. How can I meal prep? How can I shop in a way that allows me to hit these targets easily? And how can I enjoy my food while I'm going through that process? Because we don't want it to be super restrictive. We don't want you to be eating out of Tupperware containers 6 meals a day.
Right.
Like, that's not what we're about. So after dialing in their nutrition, then we look at training. And the training aspect is just as customized as the nutrition aspect. So we look at obviously where they are and what their goals are. We look at their schedule. We look at the equipment that they have access to. And we look at any range of motion or injury limitations that we need to accommodate for while building their program. And then with our program, we only give them 1 week at a time. And the reason for that is it gives us the ability to adapt the program around their progress as they're getting stronger, as they're getting leaner, so that it's not this rigid cookie cutter, oh, here's your 16-week program, right?
Right.
The program is evolving with you as you're getting stronger. And what I think really sets us apart from a programming perspective is, we talked about all the variables there, but then we also get our clients to submit 3 to 5 videos of each workout into our training channel so that we can go ahead and give them coaching on those videos to make sure the technique looks good, if they're doing it in a safe way. And the biggest thing that I see most people completely getting wrong in the gym is the intensity that they're lifting with isn't anywhere near where it needs to be in order for them to actually see progression. And you can see this, like, if you go walk through an LA Fitness or any like normal box gym,
I know
corporate
exactly where you're
gym,
going with this. Yeah.
yeah, you'll see people that work out there for 12 months and they look the exact fucking same 12 months later.
Yeah.
And if you ask them, hey, why are you here? They're going to be like, oh, I want to build muscle. I want to lose fat. It's like, okay, great. Well, you're not doing anything here that's going to get you that. And I want to be careful about how I say that, because I do think, great, you got to the gym, amazing. Like, kudos to you, thumbs up,
But
stars,
they're staying
because
in the same place.
they're maintaining what they currently have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Meaning.
And I think it's important to acknowledge, like, hey, if you're going to the gym, first off, like, great fucking job, because there's so much negativity in the space. And I want to I made a post the other day, which I'm bookmarking that right now so we can talk about it after. But I want to encourage people and say, hey, you're going to the gym, you're not on the couch eating chips, great work, genuinely, like, that's fucking awesome. And what's important to you here? Do you want to progress? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to build muscle?
Hmm.
Because if so, what you're currently doing is not going to get you that, right? So that's really where that constant coaching on the videos that they're submitting comes from, is being able to say like, hey, we programmed an RPE 8 here. This was nowhere fucking near that. That was like an RPE 5, right? So, but and I get that coming from a high athletic background, right? Like I know what it feels like to tap into my nervous system and drive effort. But
Yeah.
most people have no clue what that feels like. Like most people, um,
When they
or
start to get tired, they're like, okay, well, that's
I'm
good.
done. Yeah, if you go
Like,
pick up like your random person at LA Fitness and you're like, hey, go to failure on the leg press, let me see what that looks like for you. Like they're gonna go, like they're probably gonna go until they have 5 or 6 or 7 reps left in the tank, and then be like,
yeah,
I'm done. Right? Like
yeah,
that's a skill. Being able to drive deeply into your nervous system and tap into that is a skill that needs to be taught. And if you're not, especially if it's a remote program, if you're not actively reviewing the footage that you're getting from clients, chances are they're not doing anything close to what is necessary to drive the neurological adaptation to build strength.
yeah. And I'll admit, in people's defense to do that, it is super mentally hard to do that with legs. It's way easier to do that with
Oh
shoulders.
yeah, you probably saw the
Like,
reel I just posted of me like going to like RPE 10 on pendulum squat, and it's like that it sucks. Like you literally
want to throw
you
up.
go yeah, you go into this black hole of just discomfort, and you're directing every iota of willpower that you have to one area of your body to drive a concentric contraction. It doesn't feel good, but there are a lot of benefits that come from that. And we can talk about the mental benefits of being able to push yourself. We can talk about the benefits of having strength as you age. We can talk about the metabolic benefits of having more muscle, right? The benefits are endless. And that's really what we focus on with our clients, is teaching them that, because that's most people. Yeah, you can have people that think they know fitness and, oh yeah, I work out 5 days a week and I've been working out for the past 5 years. Yeah, and you look the same for the past 5 years, right?
Right.
So that's for for someone who's already in good shape, great. If you don't want to get stronger, if you don't want to build muscle, if staying in the exact same state is a good thing for you, I'm not here to tell you that it shouldn't be. Amazing. I'm happy for you. But if you are under muscled and have a ton of body fat, you likely don't want to remain there, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if we could build significant amounts of muscle, so not only can you actually look good when you get lean, but also it's way fucking easier for you to maintain that level of body fat when you have more muscle, right? Wouldn't it be nice if we could teach you how to maintain that over a long period of time? And that is really where the coaching around intensity comes into play. So like I said, we do the customized nutrition programming, the customized in-gym program, and then we do a lot of education around the holistic lifestyle factors too. So you can see I'm wearing my blue light blocking glasses here. Like that's a big thing, because getting our clients to sleep well at night, I always tell people think training makes you stronger. It doesn't. Training makes you weaker. Training plus proper recovery makes you stronger.
Yeah, because it tears down muscle fibers. Yeah.
Yeah.
People
If
don't
you
get that.
if
They
yeah,
think
if you
the work is done in the gym when really it's done in the kitchen and in the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. So the way people are often confused by that, they're like, "What? Training makes you weaker? What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Yeah, go hit a PR on deadlifts, and then an hour later try and hit that same PR and tell me how it goes for you." It's not going to go very well,
Yeah,
as you know. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. Like training hard in the gym is your ticket to the party, but really you get what you're looking for through proper recovery
yeah,
after that stimulus of training. So we focus a lot on healthy light exposure, getting as much sunlight first thing in the day. Get outside, take your fucking shirt off, get your feet in the grass, go for a walk. And then after the sun goes down, these go on, and make sure you're blocking as much blue light as possible. Ideally, you're not even on your devices, but obviously, if you're filming Instagram lives, you need to be on your devices, and therefore wear
I
some.
have my blue light blocking glasses here too. I should have put them on. I literally
There you go. Yeah. So uh, that's we look at optimizing sleep, we look at light exposure, supplementation, obviously, and really just try to build, not try, we build our clients the blueprint of like, hey, you want an exceptional physique, you want exceptional energy, it well through your late 20s, 30s, and 40s. Boom, here it is. Here's how you do it, and you can look back on this moment a decade from now and be glad that you took the action.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, so I love everything you just said. I do have a question for you though, as far as you were saying going to the gym and continuing to make gains and look better. Are you happy with your physique right now? Or
Oh
are
yeah.
you still in that boat too, where you're like, okay, well, I still want to look, like this, or I want to have this many inches on my arms next year? Like, what's that look like for you?
It's both for me. Like I love how I look. I love having muscle. I'm very happy with how much muscle definition I have.
Hmm.
And I love just the constant process of getting stronger, getting bigger. And that for me is the game now, right? So now that I've seen behind the curtain and I know, hey, this is what it takes to get stronger, to get bigger. That's how I train all the time, just because it's something I enjoy. Um, and the more that I can get intimately familiar with that process for me, the better I can help other people with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm like, who knows? I could see myself like doing this bodybuilding thing for the next 5 years and then like going strictly into like more longevity protocols after that, right? For me in this phase of my life, um, it's fun. I feel good. And a lot of people my age need help with it, right? So I can translate my experience into helping with them. But who knows? Maybe by the time I'm 35, I'm OMADing and I'm like living in the woods, like free of the EMF and just like completely off the map. That's a possibility too. We'll see.
Yeah, you take a page out of my playbook, man. Drop down to
Yeah,
150. Get on my
yeah, right. Oh man, that's crazy. I'm clocking in at like 195 right now. So
I
me
was
being
gonna
down
say
at one,
you have to be close to 200.
yeah, I've hit 200 a few times.
Wow.
Um,
How do you feel at 200?
I feel strong. I feel really fucking strong. But yeah, like is my cardio there? No, it's not. Uh, but I'm also not like my. Are you familiar with zone two cardio?
No. Mm-mm.
No. So
Not
it's
the cardio at all.
yeah. So I'm not big into cardio either. I'm definitely focused on resistance training, but it's not somewhere where my body is like super comfortable being. Um, and the biggest thing about that is literally how much food I have to eat. Like I have to be stuffing my face like 4,000 calories a day of whole
Yeah, I knew you
foods
were
is
gonna
a
say
fucking grind, man.
no cap. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'll do it. I'll do it for a few months. I'm the kind of guy that likes pushing the limits, so I can I can appreciate what that process looks like. I've actually considered. I've been talking with guys more and more about doing a bodybuilding show. So if I do that, I would, I'd be in that process for probably, I don't know, 6 to 12 months.
Right. Yeah, you got
Um, but yeah, just for the average person, it's not worth it because like you said, the time you have to put into eating food is so expensive. Just
yeah.
the amount of time that you're putting into it, and then the effort, feeling like you've always got food in your stomach. I'm comfortable at my weight now, where I'm like 194, 195, depending on the day, probably hanging out at like 8% body fat. Um, and that's comfortable for me. And sometimes I still have to feel like I'm shoving food down my throat to like just to maintain that. So I totally could. I know I could OMAD like based off of the experience that I have with fasting previously. I for sure could like wake up, have a coffee, and then maybe have like a snack at noon and then one big meal at like 3 o'clock and be done for
Mhm.
the day. Like that, I know that I could make that work. Just for me right now in the season of training that I'm in and what I'm focused on, it doesn't give me the results I'm looking for.
Yeah. And just like you said that for OMAD, I know for a fact that I could eat like 3,000 calories a day, go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and get up to like 170 pounds or like even 180 pounds. How tall are you?
5'10".
Okay, yeah, I'm like 5'8" ish, like 5'7.5", 5'8.5". Um, but like I don't want to do that because I like my physique right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I actually love my physique right now for the amount of work that I put in. The
Yeah.
last I want to do right now is go back to being a slave to my fitness, eating out of Tupperware all the time, like feeling stuffed all the time. Like I genuinely believe I could get up to like 170 ish, but like at what cost? Like to me, that's just not worth it right now. Like I
Yeah.
like super lean, um, and I like the way that my physique looks right now. So like, could I do it? Yeah, just like you could, go on OMAD and drop down, but like don't want
Mm-hmm.
to do that right now. Like, and that's the best part about fitness in general is just like finding something that works for you, and then once you love that, you just stick to it and it becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like if you can find that thing that you really like to do, then you don't have to worry about discipline anymore. You just go do the thing that you really like to do. And I think it would be good if more people realize that. Once you find the thing that you really enjoy doing, then it's not hard to make it a part of your lifestyle because it's simply where you spend your time naturally.
Yeah, that brings us right back to square one, doesn't it, man? Of
Yeah.
like, just people make it so much harder than it needs to be. And
Mm-hmm.
there are ways to make it easy, but it's just hard to find because the mainstream pushes, oh, go 6 or 7 days a week. Oh, eat out of Tupperware X amount of times a day. Do these workouts in this fitness magazine that are unrealistic, and then people don't do them right, or
Mm-hmm.
they don't go 100% on their workouts, and it doesn't work, and they quit. So, but that's what we're here for. I guess we call us micro influencers right now, and it's just a matter of like teaching people to do things that work for them and
Mm-hmm.
slowly building them up to a point where they're comfortable doing it and until it becomes a lifestyle. So
Yeah, man. Well, I see it the same. It's progressive overload, right?
yeah,
In the same way that you wouldn't get someone doing 1 RM deadlifts on day one in the gym, you'd build them up with exercises, progress the stimulus, get more volume, get more intensity, and then you would get them up to a point where they can express their strength. Even with training, you don't want to go from 0 to 100 overnight, right? Like for some people, go for a fucking 10-minute walk every day. That's like the first step up from where they're at today. Then once you do that, make that 30 minutes of walking a day. Then once you do that, maybe you work out once a week for 30 minutes, right? And then you can build up that snowball. And then by the time, like, maybe you love it so much that you want to work out 5 days a week. And if that's the case and someone loves that, amazing, go do that. Um, but that can be a very big jump for people that have a hard time turning off Netflix, taking their
yeah,
hand out of the potato chip bag, and putting their walking shoes on and getting out the front door.
most definitely, dude. Um, yeah, I mean, we had a really good talk right here. I think we've been on for like an hour, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, did you say that there was something else you had bookmarked that you wanted to bring up, or did you already?
Oh, yeah. Let me talk about that real quick. So it was specifically around being the positive year. Like I have a pretty tough love approach sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And why I find that helpful is because I feel like our generation has programmed us to be so fucking fragile, right? And we're not. Like we can handle so much. But if you think, that you're going to get triggered by this or triggered by that or you need your participant ribbon because someone's hurt feelings are going to be hurt, like that's such a weak place to build your life from.
Most definitely.
So so I can come from a place of tough love, but I made this reel the other day, right? And it was like it was me standing in front of my red light, and I jokingly said, I was like, hey, I've traveled back from the future, and I'm here to tell you that you really regretted missing your workout today. Now don't be a bitch and get to the fucking gym and do your workout. And I posted it, and like I got some funny remarks, and people commented, and no one was bothered by it, right? But there's something internally that just felt kind of off when I posted it. And I was sitting with that. I'm like, man, why does this feel like inauthentic or just like kind of forced for me to be sane? And what I came to realize was that like I kind of connected back. I'm like, why do I even do this in the first place? Like, why do I have this Instagram account? Why am I coaching people? And it got me back to like the type of person I am wanting to help struggles with this area of their life, right? And the last thing they probably need to be told is don't be a bitch, right? Like for someone who's been told like don't be a bitch, don't be a pussy their entire lives, that might be the most unhelpful thing you can tell someone. And and everyone that was messaging me being like, "Yo man, this is hilarious." Like these are all people like me who have like who are crushing this area of their life, and it's not this like burden to them, right? So I actually ended up taking it down like an hour after I posted it, not because anyone said anything to me, but just because I got present to like, okay, why am I actually here? Why am I doing this? And it was so clear. I'm like, yeah, I actually want to help these people that are struggling with this area of their lives, and me telling them, hey, don't be a bitch is probably the least helpful thing that I could possibly tell them. So that was just related to what I was saying earlier, and like really wanting to be that voice of positivity. And maybe, you know, it still might be tough love, but it's like, hey man, you're a fucking savage, you're a beast, you can handle this, now go do the work, right? And there's a big difference between that and like, don't be a pussy, don't be a bitch,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Dude, and it goes back to like positive self-talk too, because if you say don't be a bitch,
that's all you're thinking about is the be a
yeah,
bitch part.
like saying
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
about pink, that's like saying don't think about pink elephants. Like you're
Yeah,
start thinking
exactly.
about elephants. Whereas instead of saying, hey, don't be a bitch, what's the opposite of that? Say, hey,
Exactly.
do be a savage, dude. Do be your best self. And I know that you
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of thinking about, okay, well, I can't be a bitch. Instead, they're going to be thinking about, okay, well, I can be my best self. And that's way
Exactly.
attainable. Yeah, dude, I absolutely love that. And I was even telling myself that this morning during my morning affirmations too, because I had these morning affirmations, and they were like, okay, well, I don't do this and I don't do that, and like that's got me thinking about things that I don't do. That doesn't help me. You know what I mean? So instead, I switched that out, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I don't do those things that I'm glad that I don't do, but how about I do these things that I am,
Yeah,
and that genuinely like changed like that had helped me a lot.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, if you're gonna have a list of don't do's or stops, you need to have that list beside it of do's or starts.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Was that everything you wanted to talk about in that
Yeah. Yeah,
bookmark?
that was the one thing around uh being that positive voice for people that I felt was necessary to touch on.
Yeah, Sam, I'm really glad you brought that up. Actually, that was huge. That might be the highlight of this whole live, and
There we go. We
we
snuck it
almost didn't
in.
say it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
Well,
sorry, go
do you,
ahead.
no, I was just gonna thank you. Thanks for inviting me on here. Thanks for coordinating this, and would love to do it again at some point.
Yeah, most definitely. We will have to do this again sometime. Guys, everybody who's watching this right now, make sure you follow Sam's channel on here. Support him. And Sam, is there anything that you want to plug in or promote here before we end this?
Uh, I mean, my Instagram page is definitely my main source of content. I am starting to post to TikTok now, so same handle, the Samuel Johnston on TikTok. And then my website, State of Alpha, is where all the information around the program and all our client transformations and testimonials and all that good stuff can be found too. So if you're a busy professional man that wants to shed fat, build muscle, and feel confident as fuck, then I might be able to help you.
Yes. All right. And guys, you would be doing yourself a disservice to not follow Sam, watch some of his stuff. His content is genuinely insightful and pretty funny too, if I do say so myself. Um, but Sam, it was a pleasure meeting you. Again, we'll have to do this again sometime. It's past 10 p.m. here on the East Coast, so I gotta,
That's bedtime for both of us.
yeah, dude. But yeah, again, it was really great having you, and we'll keep in touch.
Sounds good, man. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, peace out, brother.
See you, brother. Bye.